The metaverse industry is expected to 10x within the next 10 years, and to give you some context, that is about the size of the current real estate market within the S&P 500 index. And considering we have seen articles about virtual lands selling for $2, $3, even $4 million, I cannot imagine how this ecosystem will look like in 10 years. And if you're not sure either and you feel a bit skeptic, you came to the right place, because that's exactly how I felt and how I feel to some extent right now. But don't worry, we're gonna detangle what's going on in the news as well as in the metaverse space. And by the end of this video, you will have an exhaustive list of all the options you can take if you would like to invest in the metaverse, going from high risk, high reward towards lower risk, lower rewards. Hey guys, what is up? It's Arunat here. I recently published a relatively successful shorts in which I talked about the 4 ways you can invest in the metaverse right now, and I promised I would be back with more information, and I also brought some more options so you can really pick the ones that you are comfortable with. Also, a very small percentage of my viewers are subscribed, so if you find this video valuable, please leave a like and consider subscribing, as it's totally free to do so and it really helps me out. I'm not affiliated with any of these crypto projects, I'm not a financial advisor, just a random dude on YouTube handing out free information, so it's entirely up to you what you do with this information. Starting with the one that has the highest potential but also the highest risks, we gotta talk about what the metaverse is. Simply, without overcomplicating it, think of the metaverse as a second life in a digital form. These digital worlds are never offline. You can join them anytime, and once you're there, you can go anywhere within that realm. You can hang out with your friends, play games, meet with your colleagues, host networking events, or anything that you can come up with pretty much. But the metaverse is not limited like our planet is. There is not just one single metaverse. There are multiple projects that are developing these metaverses, and at this point, it is still not clear which will be the one that we will be using or how many we will be using. So that is one aspect where we can invest early and speculate on and potentially win big if we manage to find the one that we will be using in 3, 4, 5, 10 years time. And what makes the backbone of most of the attention that these metaverses are getting right now is that they are decentralized, meaning that there is not one entity who owns everything within the metaverse. Instead, it's the players who own very small bits and pieces of the metaverse, but essentially they run the whole thing. And when talking about players owning the things within the metaverse, there are 2 very important things we have to mention. The first is that the player-driven economy. Imagine users creating their own shops or services and charging other users for their products and services, making the metaverse a legit way to earn some money. And the other thing I want to mention are the NFTs. Now, NFTs can take a lot of forms, but when talking about metaverses, we mainly think about virtual land, digital land that we cannot touch, but has some value to it. And you might ask, how can it have value when it's digital and you can create, anything and unlimited amounts of it in the digital world? Well, the value comes from it that there is a limited supply. The 2 most famous metaverses right now are the Central End, where you have a limited supply of 90,601 land parcels, and the other one is the Sandbox, where you have 166,464 parcels available total. And there are a number of collaborations and companies and brands joining these metaverses, so some of the value also comes from being located near central areas. Imagine how cool it is to be neighbors with Atari or the Double G, Snoop Dogg himself. There are digital land in other games and metaverses as well, like Axie Infinity, where you also have the Axies themselves as NFTs that you can buy, play the game as you fight with them, create offsprings which you can sell, and basically just aim for that pure breed that really can earn you some good money. And the list goes on and on, as there are a ton of these metaverses and games being developed right now, and therefore it is very hard to pinpoint one or just a few that we're gonna use in 5 or 10 years time. And therefore I think purchasing individual NFTs in the form of either, Axies or digital land, whatever it might be, might be the most risky investment, but you can also win the biggest if you happen to be right and it turns out that's going to be the metaverse that everyone will be using in the future. Okay, but let's say you want to take a step back and you don't want to spend your time creating services or looking up the perfect location or something like that. You can invest in the tokens themselves that these games utilize. You have Mana for Decentraland, Sand for the Sandbox, or AXS for Axie Infinity, and you have the rest for all the other games. The list goes on. But basically what it allows you to do if you're holding the token of the corresponding game is that whatever happens in that game, good news or bad news, would be reflected in the currency they are using, meaning the token that you are holding. And so hopefully that metaverse or game will have great development and great news coming out, and so the token you're holding would see its value increasing, because again, from that there is a limited supply, and so you would see your investment gaining in value without you being actually too involved in the game or metaverse itself and being too close to the fire. If you want to diversify more but stay close to the cryptocurrency nature of the metaverse trend, you might want to look at something called the Metaverse Index, which is just another crypto token as far as I saw, so make sure to do your own research that it's a legit project, but it is supposed to split your money among the top cryptocurrency tokens that are focused on metaverses. It's not something that I do personally, but it might be something that you want to consider, so I thought I would just put it on the list. Now, taking another step backwards leads to our next option, which is simply to hold ETH. Now, why this might be a good option is because most of these metaverses that we have talked about in this video utilize the Ethereum network. And you holding ETH makes you exposed to what these metaverses are doing, but notice that the Ethereum network is used for many applications. And if these metaverses would boom and see mass adoption and become the next big thing, you would also win some because you are somewhat connected, but because metaverses are just a smaller portion of the Ethereum network, you wouldn't win as much as, let's say, if you were holding the exact token of the metaverse that went parabolic. And since Ethereum is the #2 cryptocurrency and has a wide user base and sees a wide range of applications, you are that much safer. Plus, we also know that Ethereum is slowly chipping away Bitcoin's top 1 position, so that could be another positive next to just holding ETH simply. And now we are exiting the cryptocurrency and the digital space and getting back to the realm of reality and holding simple stocks. Yes, that's right. You can be exposed to the metaverse trend while holding simple stocks. Now, these stocks and companies obviously do other things besides the metaverse, but the metaverse is coming and will play some role at the leading players. So here's a quick rundown of some of the companies that are competing in the metaverse space and in which you can invest with as little as $100 or even just $1. The first one is Meta. Facebook gained quite some attention when it announced that it will be changing its name to Meta Platforms and its ticker symbol to MVRS so that they can better focus and convey their vision of the metaverse that they want to create, where people can really connect, network, work and hang out. They also announced that they will be hiring 10,000 employees in Europe to create their own metaverse. To put that into context, Facebook currently has around 70,000 employees, so that's a whopping 15% increase in the number of employees. Now, one problem that many people have if a company becomes successful creating their own metaverse is that it's still gonna be a centralized thing, as there will be a company overseeing everything that goes in within the metaverse. As opposed to what we have been talking about earlier, the different users, people own different bits and pieces of the metaverse themselves, and there is no governing company overseeing everything. Now, that wouldn't be the case if Meta creates the go-to metaverse solution, but Meta is certainly one company that has all the resources. They have all the tech with all the companies that they have acquired in the past, like Oculus. They have all the people and the talent to do it, and they have all the money to do it. So Meta is a serious contestant in the metaverse space, and after all, their announcement of entering the space led to other metaverse projects taking off. Another company that is somewhat connected to building metaverses is AMD, as Meta Platforms announced that they would be using AMD chips to power their servers. And of course, a competitor to AMD is Nvidia, who are also creating their own metaverse called Omniverse. They are also present in the server segment, and let's not forget about their graphic cards that might be essential as the masses enter the metaverse. And then there is of course Google, who have many advancements in the field of AR, augmented reality, which might be a component or an alternative to Metaverse. We don't really know at this point how these two is gonna play into each other, but that's definitely an interesting approach and something to keep in mind. But we cannot neglect the fact that Google has all the users and pretty much all the data in the world, just like Microsoft, who recently announced or released an extension to their very successful application called Teams, which is again used by many millions of users every single day and month. And then there are the game engines that are used to build these AR/VR/Metaverse games. One game engine like that is Roblox, or another one is Unity. Many of these games are based on the Unity engine, and we cannot forget about their huge asset library that can be implemented very well into metaverses as we try to populate these spaces with physical looking objects. When talking about bringing real life objects into the metaverse, one company that comes to mind is Matterport. Now, Matterport is mostly known for their 360-degree scanning solutions, where a real estate agent would go to a listing, put down one of their cameras or use their phone, because you can do it with a phone as well, and then, rotate around, capture the space, and the Matterport application would connect all the photos and create a 3D space that you can then look around in. And considering that it can be done with a phone, I see great opportunity for users to just grab a phone, scan something in their room, create a 3D image, and boom, you can bring that right into the metaverse. Like, imagine I could scan everything that you see right now, bring it into the metaverse. If I have an office there, put everything down, we could all log in, gather around this table, and start chatting about topics like this, just like that. It would be magical. But anyway, I digress. I have one last opportunity that I want to share with you. If you want to be super safe and still be investing in a metaverse trend, and that is a metaverse ETF. Now, one that I saw mentioned in another video is Roundhill Investments Meta ETF. Now, just like any ETF, it spreads your money among companies that it deems involved in the creation of metaverses. So you can take a look at their holdings right here, but note that their expense ratio is quite high at 0.75% every single year. For comparison, Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF, VOO, has an expense ratio of 0.03% per year. And for that reason, and because I like picking my own stocks, I personally wouldn't invest in this ETF because the fees are just so high. But if you would like to, I recommend taking note of the weights of their holdings and just simply go and buy the individual stocks yourself, so you can save a bunch of money every year by not paying the fees, and you would have your own ETF essentially. And as we reach the end of this list, I hope some of these investment opportunities spark your interest, or at least the picture is more clear. If you are interested in learning more, I have other videos connected to some of these topics. Make sure to check them out. And if you found this video valuable, please leave a like and consider subscribing, as it would really help me out. And with that being said, that's it for today. I hope you learned something new today, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.